unrealtech.net, a division of BlenderTek.com here. As I mentioned in part 19, I accidentally deleted part 18 before uploading it. In that video, I finished all the base widgets that we would need to create all our future widgets procedurally. I could delete them now and restart and do it all over, but rather I'm just going to go through all of them and all of their logic one by one quickly, and if you have any questions after that, just ask or download the project when I do an update on unrealtech.net. So open your project and remember, create your way. So I'm going to start in our UI folder. We're going to go to parents. We're going to go to menu base. So yeah, we'll start with menu panel. Then we'll go to menu buttons. Of course, we have our structure here. Structure underscore focus child info, which has the boolean b captures nav, and widget to focus, which uses our BPI. Then we're going to go on to our buttons, our procedural buttons. We'll start with, I guess we'll just go in order, arrow space, buttons bar, false button, and menu choices. And that should be that. And then I went ahead and I used them to create a main menu, and so I'll show you guys the power of that. We'll create a main menu, maybe a character customization screen. So in our base widget menu panel, I know we went over the on key down overridden function. I know we did get title text uppercase. Of course, if you missed any of these, of course you can pause and copy the logic. Set widget for fake focusing. I believe we did that. So you can see the logic here. If not, update current widget to be focused. I believe we did that, as well as add focusable widget to focusable array. I believe we did that. And event focus test. I believe we finished that. We want to make sure we have our event dispatchers on nav want to leave this, which has an input boolean b is leaving from first up, and on back button pressed. And we also have all our widgets here. They're all editable except for the focusable array and the focused index. The focusable array has no elements on it, and the title text, of course, is blank. I don't believe any of these are transient. Sorry, focus index is. And I believe, okay, and B focus wraps around should be true by default. And that should be that. So I think what I did do in here that we didn't go through was the event graphs. So let's go through the event graph of BW menu panel really quick. So on event construct, we call init panel, which is this custom event right below it. And all that does is it clears our focusable array widget. Oh, I created a hotkey for that, didn't I? It was like Alt Shift S or something, Control Shift S. I don't know. Oh, I must have removed it when I deleted all my information, all my configuration stuff, because I had straight connections to a key. Anyway, so that clears focusable array is all init panel does, and we will be calling that from other widgets. So make sure all of these are done perfectly, because this is our base, like our very lowest class on the hierarchy. So after that we have event, we use event set widget is false focus from, if we go to class settings, we implemented the BPI widget focusable blueprint interface. And I went over what interfaces are in number 19. So we take our focusable array, we get its length -1, we do a select int between that and 0. bpick A is from should focus on last child, which goes into another select int, which selects that or -1, and that is selected from new false focused, which goes to, we call set widget for fake focusing, which is this function right here. And skip UI sounds, of course, plugs into skip UI sounds. and then set keyboard focus. Next up, handles, where we handle previous / next widget navigation with a keyboard or gamepad. What we do there is we take event focus next widget, we go into a branch, the condition is event focus test. We take our focusable array and its index, we do a get, an array get, we break the structure that we get, and B captures nav goes into the next branch's condition. True goes into focus next widget, which is an interface call right here. You can see, which comes from our array get focusable widget from array, which again uses those two variables. False, however, goes into a branch which creates a NAND gate. That's NAND. So not Boolean and not, and the not is B focus wrap around, and the array index increment is what the A part of the NAND gate, the AND here plugs into, is B is wrapping around. We use those same two variables. New index goes all the way over here from our branch into the true portion, which uses set widget for fake focusing again. And false, we call on nav wants to leave this, with false B is leaving from first up. Down below, we do the exact same thing, except B is leaving from first up is true. I believe it is, yeah, exactly the same. Except obviously the event is event focus previous widget. So yeah, that just handles previous / next widget navigation. Then we, because menus don't have anything to click or press, we have to forward false presses in some way. So how we do that is on event false press and on event false unpress. They're so similar. We go into a branch. The condition is event focus test, which is our array from, or sorry, macro. Did I call those macros arrays? Which is our macro that's in this class, which uses one of our macro libraries, get focusable widget from array, again using the array and index variables, and then the BPI output goes into our false press and false unpress on the trues. Then again we do the same thing, or the same idea, but for incrementing and decrementing values. So event widget value increment and decrement goes into a branch, same things, same variables, same macro, and then we just go off the BPI and call widget value increment and decrement. Lastly, we go to event back focused widget. So this is for any of our procedural widgets that have a back or return button, which will be mostly all of them. Again, the condition is event focus test, and then we just call on back button pressed. So I think that is that. We pretty much handled it. I think I was already starting to go over stuff in some of the other videos. I know I was going over them in 18. So I guess I never went through the, where are we here? I never went through the actual menu panel, but it's nothing special. You can see all the default values here. Just make sure to uncheck is focusable, and on your canvas panel, it's totally stock. Moving on to base widget menu buttons. I guess, yeah, you can see all the default values here, so you can pause and copy those if you want. Again, we still need sounds. I still haven't gotten to that. I have to remember about that. Then we create a vertical box like so, an overlay. It fills to 1. Then we have a background image, which is set to fill the entire thing, and it's currently set to white. Then we have a scale box, which only scales down, and it's set to fill. Then we have a horizontal box, and it's set to center vertically and fill horizontally. Then we have just text, which is going to be our menu button label. So whatever the button will end up being. You can see the padding is 8242. It aligns to the left and vertically aligns centers, and it's bound to button text, which is a property. And we just give it menu button in the curly braces. You know, when I use a placeholder, I use curly braces, so I know it's a placeholder. It's size 42, it's black, pretty basic. And then we have our separator, which is just another image, which is set to fill at 10%, 0.1, and it is black. So that's that bit down there. So that's how that's constructed. Then in the graph, it's a parent of base widget false button. So if you haven't created that class already, just go ahead and create it and then go File, Reparent Blueprint, and then choose your base widget false button right there. So just choose that, and that's how we get this parent tick. So on event tick, we call the parent tick, and to do that, you just right click on event tick, and you press add call to parent function, and you'll get this orange one, and then just connect everything up. And then after that, we set render translation to get focus translation, which comes from our parent class. And the target is our menu button label. I spelt that wrong, but that's all fine. And this comes as a vector 2D structure, which you just right click and split. You can see I can't recombine it, but you can recombine if there's nothing going into it. So I just split that, and the X just gets that. The Y doesn't move at all. That way we can move things left and right, but not up and down. Just a little animation deal. Get arrow color is a peer function which outputs arrow color return value. It's a linear color, and that just lerps between pure black, which is completely transparent, and pure black, which is completely opaque. And the alpha is get anim progress focus, again from our parent class. And that should be it. We just have our variables here, our background, our label, and our separator, which are all editable. And those just come from the designer. So let's close that off. We don't have any interfaces. We do inherit, however, the BPI widget focusable. In fact, all of our widgets will inherit that because all of the base widget classes either inherit it from the menu panel or they have it implemented. So moving on to arrow base, this one's pretty easy. We just have, again, you can see the values here. Its parent class is from BW false button, so it should be the same values as those. Again, we still need sounds. Again, if you need to get that parent class, you just go File, Reparent Blueprint, and make sure you have it created. So yeah, we created an overlay, and then we add a background which fills in case we want to add a background later. And then I made up a nice little arrow which I will have in the latest update when I upload it to the website, and that's just a little arrow pointing to the right. And yeah, that is that there. So moving into the graph, that is it. That's just used more for decoration, I guess, and for clicking on things. Like say when you want to change something, you'd be clicking on this. So that is that. Base widget buttons bar. We have, again, all the default values here. Make sure your buttons class is BW menu buttons. Base widget menu buttons. Our parent class is base widget menu panel, and it inherits all those default values. None of them are changed. And then we add a horizontal box which is called the button container. Make sure it's a variable. So if we go into the graph, we just have the get button function, which is peer. It outputs button out, which is our BPI widget focusable interface, and it inputs integer, which is called our button index, and it uses that to get focusable widget from array, which is our focusable array, which comes from the parent class, and then it outputs that to button out. And in our event graph, I'll go over this, although I think we did most of them. We have event init panel, so that's that if a custom event we created. We call that, and then we right click and we add call to parent function. You see you got that orange one, and put it right after that. Then we do a for each loop for all buttons text. I think we went over this where we created the buttons. In fact, I'm so certain of it, I'm not gonna go over it. If I mistook in that, then I apologize. And definitely let me know. I see I left a little to-do message here, so I'm going to check into that here in a minute. Now I believe we did all this too. We have a custom event on button bar press that has an integer button index, and then it just calls on button pressed, which is an event dispatcher here, which takes an input, which is button child index. And so you can see that's the message, not interface call. This one's parent class, if I didn't say, is base widget menu panel. And then we have event focus next widget and event focus previous widget, which we call on nav wants to leave this, which is from the parent class. Next is false on the Boolean. Previous is true. And then we do the same for increment and decrement, except here all we do is we take our focused index and focusable array variables from our parent class. We use our macro array index increment and decrement. We take the new index from both of those into set widget for fake focusing from the parent class for value increment and value decrement. Then we simply have event set widget is false focused. We connected up skip UI sounds and new false focus to parent set widget is false focus. So all you do again is right click and add call to parent function to get that. So yeah, while we're in this class, the base widget buttons bar, we might as well finish this to do. So let's just drag off of where we set color normal from buttons color and just call add focusable widget to focusable array. And its target is self, captures navigation is false, and the focusable widget comes all the way from where we create the false button. So that would be this one right here. Yeah, base widget false button. So just create another, actually just drag that right onto there. You'll see the blue and yellow does in fact work because it's an interface. Like so. Let's compile and save. I don't have it auto-saving anymore. And then we have one more thing to do, I think, unless I did do it. Nope. Okay, so once that's completed, let's just create a reroute. Actually, we can probably just stick it right in here. Who cares if it's a little bit messy? All we need to add once the loop to create the buttons is done, what we need to do is we need to set them as the falsely focused widget. So we just set widget is false focused, I believe. Nope, I got this problem last time. Set widget. Let's see here. Set widget for. Yeah, that's it. Set widget for fake focusing. So target is self. Option index is going to be -1. Skips UI sounds is going to be true. And the last one false. So just like so. So I am actually going to move this one down then. Let's see if we can get this in here. There we go. Perfect. That works for me. So that is done now. Cool. So yeah, that's that class. Let's move, compile, save. Let's move on to base widget false button. So in here, you can see on the root, we have again the same default values. Again, this is a as low as the hierarchy goes in subclasses. We have our buttons and our menus, and base widget false button is the lowest level in the hierarchy. So it's what all buttons will be built off of. So it's set like so, and the canvas panel is just regular. So in the graph, we don't have too much going on. I think we went through most of it. We have mouse on, mouse button up. I think we went through that. If not, again, you can pause and go through it. We have on mouse button double click. We have on mouse button down. We have get display text, get base color, get secondary color, get focus translation, get anim progress focus, and in our variables we created all our colors, normal and secondary. We had our animation timing, we had our sounds. I'm pretty sure we went over all this, so I'm not going to go through it. We have our event dispatchers on button pressed, which takes a button child index, and on focused. It does implement the BPI widget focusable interface, so make sure that is added, otherwise you'll get many errors. And on the event graph, I'm going to make sure that we did go through that. So on event on mouse enter, we go into a branch which takes in the condition B is being hovered. If true, we do nothing. If false, we set B is being hovered to true, and then we play sound 2D of sound hover. Event on mouse leave, we set B is being hovered and B is depressed both to false. We take our event false press from our blueprint interface widget focusable. We set B is depressed to true. We play sound 2D, sound click, and then we call on button pressed, and the button child index is button index. The inverse of that, event false unpress from our BPI, we set B is depressed to false. Then on our event tick, we do our anim positions for hovering and focusing based on delta time. So we use our macro get animation position new. B should increment, B is being hovered, anim position hover, and hovered is current and anim speed. Delta time comes from delta time, anim position new, output sets, anim position hover. Then we do it again where we set focus, and this time we just do the inverse. Instead of hovered, we do focused, and delta time still delta time. So that is that. On to base widget menu choices. So this one, under our root, we have again the same options as far as I know, except I believe we added one menu choice, which is again NAN for NAN. Nothing here essentially. We have our container, which is a vertical box. Make sure that is a variable. Then we have an overlay, which fills to 1.0. Then we have a background, which I set to this, our kind of a bluish color that we're going for, our steel blue, and it's set to fill and fill. And that is an image, and make sure it's a variable. Then we have a horizontal box, which is set to fill and fill. Then we have another horizontal box, which is set to fill to 1.0. Then we have text, which is going to be our actual button label. And if I haven't said it already, remember that this one's parent class is base widget false button. That's again the lowest hierarchy one. Make sure, so button label text, make sure it is a variable. It fills to 1 and it's vertically aligned center. It has 12 pixels of padding on the left. Of course, you can adjust that. Button choice here in curly brackets is bound to the button text property, and it's size 42. Then we have a horizontal box, and it's set to fill to 1.0. Then we have text, which I left just blank, but it's bound to get choice text for selected option. So we have button choice here, and then it'll have something else in here. I left it totally blank though, because I didn't want anything in there, because sometimes it will be blank. And then we have our separator again, which is just an image, and it's set to again 0.1, and it's set to black. So easy. In our graph, I'm pretty sure we went through everything. No, we didn't. if I remember correctly. So I'm quickly going to go through them. So get choice for selected options, appear function, which returns a text return value, and all it does is it does an array get from menu choices. And menu choices, I guess, yeah, it does have one stock element, which is NaN, and choice selected stock 0. So that's how that works. And get arrows color works the same way as the other one. It's pure, it returns the linear color, which is again between totally transparent black and totally opaque black. And its alpha again is anim position focus, and it returns color, a linear color structure, linear color. Add choice, we just do an array add to menu choices, and it takes in a text input called new choice to add. You can see how that's connected. Add choices, we do an append to menu choices, which takes in an array of text called choices to append, and you can see how that's connected. Clear choices, all that does is an array clear of menu choices, and bingo bango, you're done. We also have on choice changed, an event dispatcher, which takes an input called new choice, which is an integer, and make sure you've inherited BPI widget focusable from your parent class. If not, make sure it's in the parent class. So I believe we had all the variables, but I'm going to go through the event graph really quick. So we have our event tick. And again, remember to get the parent one, you just add call to parent function. Then we do the parent tick, connect them all together. We set the render translation again. We split the structure by right clicking and splitting. Button labels a target. Translation X is get focus translation. That's a peer. Make sure it's a peer function. So again, for gamepads and keyboards, this handles pressing arrows or false presses. So we have on button pressed left arrow key. A custom event which takes in button child index as an integer, and then it calls widget value decrement. So I just realized looking in my reference that these custom events are totally wrong. They need to be deleted, because what I forgot to do was finish our widget. So what we need to do in our base widget menu choices is, how this works is you have something here that'll say like select your class, and then you'd have like demo, sniper, assault, medic, and it would be a choices that you can select. But I forgot the arrows, I only had the text. So what we need to do in this horizontal box is we need to add 2 images. So let's add an image up and an image below it. I don't think that worked. That one did. Throw that one. Oh, come on. Okay, well, one goes before the text and one goes after, and make sure they are both variables. We're gonna call this one arrow left, or you could call it choice left, I guess, since it's menu choices. And this one will be arrow, whoops, come on, keyboard. Arrow right. And I have those nice little arrows. Where is it? Arrow generic. Ooh, that's kind of big. I'll have to set the size. And arrow generic. Perfect. Now, obviously this one's pointing right still. To fix that, we go to transform and we rotate it -180, like so. And then we can call all of our functions on them. I'm totally doing this wrong. We can't call functions on them. What I need instead is arrow base. Oh, I'm not thinking straight. I've taken too many days off. So do what I just did, but do it with our arrow base widget. And so move one over, call it arrow base left. And you gotta make sure they're variables, and arrow base right. So now you can see we have a lot more functionality in them. So yeah, just make sure that one though under transform is rotated-180. Now we can actually call stuff on them. So I'm going to compile. Now let's go to our graph. So what we want here is on button pressed, and we want arrow base left. I might need to bring it in. Let's see here, on button press server list, that's from our main menu. So let's see, arrow base left, on button press. So we want to call on button press. How we need to do this is these are actually buttons. Now it's coming back to me. So select the left one, scroll down, and select on button pressed. So these are our event dispatchers, if you remember, and you'll see it has arrow base left. So bring that up to where we were working and connect it up to widget value decrement, which is where does it come from? Just trying to think here. It comes from this class, and because of our BPI inheritance, you just call the function widget value decrement and widget value increment. So that one's good. Then we have event false press, and we also want event unpress false. And those actually we don't need that one, but we do need the right arrow, however. So go down to on button press with the right arrow selected, bring it up to where we're working here, and it connects to, let's just line this up here. It's Control Shift S to straighten. I figured it out. It connects to widget value increment, as does event false press. So when you press, say, the X key on your PlayStation controller, it will increment the choice, and so will the right arrow. So that's how that works. So yeah, I was waiting to finish the arrow class before I could do that properly, so we can compile and save that. So let's continue on now. So we have event widget value increment, which sets, well, you guys can see the logic here. You can pause if you need to see it. We also have event widget value decrement. Make sure it's from BPI widget focus, so make sure it's from the actual BPI. And yeah, it just goes through that logic. I'm pretty sure we went through this anyway. So that is that for menu choices. False button, did we go through that? Yes, I believe we did. Yep, perfect. I don't know why I had that open. So that is all of the base widgets that I know of. So yeah, if there's anything that I missed, because that was so long ago now, I totally forgot what I went through and what I didn't, then let me know, because I definitely don't want people to go all like lost and stuff, but at the same time I don't want to have to delete all that work and redo it all over again. So I'm just gonna assume that we went over most of it, and anything that I missed and the little changes we did in this episode, hopefully it'll work for you guys. Otherwise, I'll have the project to download whenever I update it, and if you guys need it right away, let me know and I'll upload an updated version. I think the last version is from episode 12 or something on unrealtek.net. So in the next episode, we are actually going to use these. I'm going to show you how powerful they are, procedural widgets for making menus and such. So fast. So I'm going to show that in the next video. So thanks for watching from the team here at UnrealTek, a division of BlenderTek.com. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like it, subscribe. We also take donations. If you didn't like this video for some reason, please tell us why so we can improve in the future. We're on social media, and the links on your screen. So we'll see you next time. Remember, create your way.